Mark my words, you are never going to see Joe Biden again. They're going to Jimmy Hoffa him. They're going to Chuck Cunningham him. Ask your parents, kid. It's a Happy Days reference. They're going to go out of their way, believe me when I tell you this, to just ablate him, to erase him, to remove him, to scrub him from what we used to call, or we used to know and we used to think of as reality in history. They're going to destroy. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, dear friends. I'm telling you. I'm asking you to believe what I'm saying. I'm asking you to grasp the notion of what I am telling you. You're never going to see him again. He is never going to take off on Marine One, from the grounds or from the White House lawn. You're never going to see him wave goodbye. You're never going to see, it's weird in a strange way, but seeing Kamala and Doug show up to the White House as there is a formal passing of the baton, a passing of the torch, so to speak. You're not going to see any of this. I can't say this enough. This was a coup d'etat, a palace coup. This is what they did to Nixon. And Joe Biden is beyond furious at Obama, at what he did, at what these horrible, horrible, horrible people did in terms of this summary execution, this unceremonious, horrible, this ultimate FU to Biden. And he turned around and gave it right back to Barry. Let me tell you something. Barack Obama is in charge of nothing, but he loves the impression of power. We must get into the psyches of these people. We must understand how these people think and what they're about. They are a world. They are a depraved, sick world that loves for you to believe in this lunacy, this fantasy, this notion, this idea that they run the show, that there's this superstructure where Barry and Michelle are at the pinnacle, the uncrowned king and queen of the progressives. And they want, above all, for you to grasp it, to understand it. And they want you to believe this canard and believe this lunacy and believe this absolute and total idiocy. They want you to believe this. But what happened was they were not in charge, because the first thing Barry did was he said, I do not want to endorse anybody because I want there to be an open convention. He wanted Mark Kelly because he knew that Mark Kelly was the only person who could win. But what they told him was, F you, Barry, we're doing it our way. And what Biden did was the ultimate double F you back, because he said the first thing I'm going to do is to step down, not endorse Cammie, to stick it to her, and then turn around and say, you know what, get. Now I'm endorsing you. Then everybody did. And the Democrats were in this huge cacophonous screw up with George Clooney involving himself. George Clooney was theoretically what, the voice of the party? George Clooney? What are we even talking about? What is this sheer and unabashed, unabated, unbelievable, this lunacy that we are seeing? That is precisely what happened. That is precisely what happened. And Joe Biden gave it right back. And I want you to understand that. This is a guy who's been around for 50 years. Joe Biden is not a liberal. Joe Biden is not a progressive. He was told to do this. And when you've got that laptop was owned and viewed by everybody, from Mossad to China to the New York Post. They know every picture, every pose, everything, especially the good ones, of Hunter. Hunter could be facing decades in federal prison for what it is believed is contained on that laptop, which, by the way, for some reason, we don't talk about anymore. A laptop so important that every major intelligence officer said that there was nothing to it, that this was the example of Russian collusion, Russian infiltration, Russian contamination. Think about that. Think about that. This is how critical this thing was. And that idiot, and you ask yourself, how can somebody as stupid as Hunter Biden be allowed to even exist? how he has not been, well, I don't want to make reference to a certain federal detainee who mysteriously was dispatched, but you get what I'm saying. So Joe said, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You want to force me on? Okay. I'm gonna endorse Cammie right now. Right now, Barry. And you're the last man standing. I will do it. And I'm going to do everything in my power to screw you up. You want to treat me like that? Good. I've got more fans and more connections than anybody you will ever know. And there are people, Barry, who look at me as being an example of who they are. And what they're doing is they're looking at me and saying, if you can screw Joe Biden, you can screw us. And what the Democrats stand for is no appreciation for tradition, no appreciation for values for the party. And that's why, because it has been taken over, it has been contaminated by a group of people so vile, so without the ability to, so without the ability to identify and articulate a steady and certain system of values and articles of faith, that they're telling the world, don't stick with us because we'll do to you what they did to Joe. We'll do to you. And if Barry Obama thinks he's going to make a big stink, if he thinks he's going to win against the shadow government who actually runs the Democratic Party, he's out of his mind. He's going to be too big for his britches. And the moral of the story is the Democrats are not to be trusted. The Democrats are not to be trusted. That's the story. And that's what you're not going to hear on CNN or even Fox or any of those other stations. Listen to what I'm saying. These are critical times. You're going to be telling your grandchildren about this. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation. Make sure you hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. Make sure you like this video. And whatever you do, I beseech and implore you, dear friends, to comment as you see fit.